Chosen One!
Welcome to The Chosen One. I'm your host, Qui-Gon Din, and today on Unit 101, we're going to be looking at none other than Jedi Master Kit Fisto. He's been popping up in the GT scene lately. He's actually been getting a lot better results than he did when he first came out. He is a primary that is a little bit more underexplored, I feel, and I think that he's got a good future going ahead with the release of Seven Scorch. I think the package is going to be very worth something to look for. So we're looking right at him. He is an 8 squad point primary. He's bringing 3 force. He brings us 4 speed for 1 active force. He can do an advance. This is a very good ability. It makes him very fast. This will also never get turned to a dash because we will get to his identity down the line. He is bringing us a reactive with riposte. It means if he gets in fight in melee, your opponent rolls a fail, they're going to take 2 damage. It's very good into certain matchups. Very, very strong. Deflect is kind of a bit better in the current meta, but Kit Fisto still has a good defense, so it's going to work out fine. His other reactive, this is the one thing that really benefits his team, is supporting fire dash. When a character in another allied Galactic Republic unit makes an attack as part of a combat action, after the attack is resolved, the unit gets to make a dash if they're within 5 of Kit Fisto. This is his one support ability, and it's going to be very good. You pulling Kit Fisto early is going to be very, very beneficial once you realize what he is really doing. His biggest thing on why you're playing him: I am afraid I must request your surrender. His identity, while selfish, is very effective at what it's doing. While this unit's active stance is Form 1 Shicho, characters in this unit have steadfast, and then they add a expertise to their defense rolls. This means if he gets exposed, he is always going to at least get 1 expertise, and when we look at his defensive expertise in Shicho, it's very good. While this unit's active stance is Form 4 Ataru, characters in this unit have protection and immunity to pin. This means if your opponent pins him when he's in Shicho, he could just flip to Ataru to get rid of it. It's very good. Additionally, when a character in this unit would advance, it may instead reposition. This is big. This means that you're never going to really keep him tied down to anything because he's just going to constantly clear his pins. It's very, very, very good. So the tags he's bringing is Aquatic, Force User, Galactic Republic, and Jedi. The Aquatic tag is interesting. It allows him to be kind of a separatist primary when you're playing Earth Tamsin, which is cool. There is some cool synergies there. He has 10 health with 3 durability. Standard, pretty high hit point, tanky guy. When we look at his stances, he's got Form 1 Shicho. This is going to be his bread and butter stance where you're really wanting to play him. He's got 7 attack dice in melee and 6 defense dice in both ranged and melee defense. His defensive expertise, this is why you're really sticking him on the stance with steadfast, is 1 to 2 is 2 blocks, 3 is 2 blocks and a jump, 4 plus is 3 blocks and a jump. Keep in mind that you will always get that 1 expertise. So if you roll the average 2 with him, you're going to get 2 blocks and a jump off of those 2. So his conversion rate is really strong. When we look at his melee expertise, 1 is a crit, 2 to 4 is 2 crits and a hit, 5 plus is 3 crits. His 2 to 4 is really, really good because you're generally going to hit that 2 expertise on a 7-die roll more likely than any of the other things. But even if you roll 3, it's not bad. You're getting 3 results. You just don't want to see a 4 expertise roll. But 3 or less, you are golden. You are getting 1 for 1 at that point. And if you roll that 2, which is that sweet spot, 2 crits and a hit off of it, very good conversion. We look at his tree. He starts off of a damage and a shove, and then he can either go to another damage and a shove or a damage and a strain. If you go to the damage and a shove route, you go up to a damage and a disarm, to a damage and another shove, and then you can end it with a damage reposition or 2 damage. He maxes out at 8 damage if he goes his lower route, which is a damage shove followed by damage strain, 3 damage, damage shove, and then you can end in that damage reposition or 2 damage. He is a character that can really play the shove game to take a point or go in for the kill if he really needs to with that bottom route. But his big job is going to be shoving people off points and then to get on that point and be really sticky on that point. To get him places, though, you might want to play him in Ataru. And Ataru is where I generally like, if I'm going to play him in Ataru at all, I will generally open him in Ataru because I want to get him someplace. If I pull him early or if I can get an attack off and really get him onto a point, and then switch to Shicho. Shicho is his most consistent stance. Ataru is his most mobile stance. He's rolling 9 attack dice in melee here, 5 range defense with 4 melee defense. 1 to 2 defensive expertise is a block and a crit to a hit. 3+ is 2 blocks at crits to hit. This is not that good of defensive expertise compared to Shicho. His melee expertise is just fine. 1 to 2 is 2 hits. 3+, or 3 is a crit 2 hits, and then 4 is 2 crits and a hit. It's decent enough conversion that with the 9 dice, you're going to get a few results through. The big thing on why you ever play him on the stance is the immunity to pin. And then you can start off with that jump. The damage in a jump, followed by 2 heals, another damage and jump, or 2 damage in a jump. This tree has access to 3 jumps on 4 results, which is an insane amount of mobility. You can use this as a launching point to get him exactly where you need him on the board, and then you can flip to that Shicho to really be tanky on the point. Your opponent's gonna have a hard time dislodging him. He takes a lot of work to bring down, and that's where his strength lies. He is not a supporting type character. He's a character that you set up this piece on a point. He's going to be very hard to take off the point. He'll be able to bully people off points. And then when you need to have him go someplace else, you can have him go somewhere else. You generally only use Ataru in his first turn of the game, I feel. After that, you keep him in Shicho the rest of the game. I really like Ataru for getting him into position. Even then, you still might just want to keep him in Shicho the entire game. He really has no issues getting to where he wants to go. Ataru is not a bad stance, but Shicho is where it's at. This stance brings all the right stats. So where would we want to play Kit Fisto? Currently, he's a really aggressive style primary, but he's playing the steadfast game and being tanky on points. So the lists that I'm bringing are kind of leading into that play style. The first step is Bad Batch. I have him with Wolf and Clone the 212th here. Wolf is just really good. You can be very aggressive. We're playing with Hunter, Wrecker, and then Wolfpack. Kit Fisto needs no outside help getting around the board, and he can help your list get around the board with his supporting fire dash. But him being tanky on a point, you can really kind of build your list around this idea of steadfast and protection and whatnot with Wrecker, and then you got Hunter just adding in, making your stuff consistent. Unmitigatable crits with these 2 supports is really strong. This is kind of a generic list. It's a very good starting point to really learn how to use Kit for his strength. If you want to play him in the Separatist shell, though, I have him with Kraken and B2s here, because as much as I like doing the full Aqua Tag dice, if you're doing the Separatist shell and you want the extra dice, I like Kit Fisto, And then I like Kraken because Kraken helps your Aquas get in position, helps your B2s get in position. And B2s are still kind of a decent workhorse. They're just not like up to par with a lot of other supports, but they're perfectly fine. And the Aqua droids here are kind of the stars when it comes to your supports. Rift Hampton getting to be able to move off of your B1s or Aqua droids attacking is very solid. Kraken is bringing his rangeless tactic to the board to get stuff into position. He's also got steadfast and protection on a point. Or maybe not the steadfast, but he has protection when he's on a point at the very least. I have to relook at Kraken, but Kraken is just, it's adding more to that. I'm going to be kind of tanky, kind of sticky on points, really adding extra dice for the Rift Hampson Aqua tag, because having Rift and Kit Fisto in your opponent's backline starts causing issues for them. But the list where I'm really toying with Kit Fisto, and this is going to be my pet project for a while here, is I'm playing him with Mace. I like that I do not have to give Kit Fisto any additional movement to have him do what he needs to do. He is a solo body. So I'm playing him with Pawns and 7 Scorch. Now, this package right here, I think, is going to see a lot of play because you're looking at Kit Fisto and 7 Scorch pretty easily getting onto the midline, and they are steadfast bodies on points. And 7 Scorch just starting up right off the way. Now you have a unit that can get moved when Kit Fisto makes an attack somewhere. 7 Scorch can do Rule 17. So you're giving a little bit more support value to Kit Fisto. And you get the ability to really take in the mobility and be really sticky on a point. Kit Fisto also does some interesting shenanigans with Pawns. So if Pawns makes an attack into something and he gets 2 down his tree, he gets that, so he can get that reposition on step 2. He can move within 5 of Kit Fisto, which can then proc supporting fire dash, which means he can dash, and you can dash towards, say, 7 Scorch, which would be within range 3 of them, and now all of a sudden you can proc Rule 17. So Pawns really kind of gets a lot more dynamics when you add him with Kit Fisto and this whole package altogether. It makes Pawns a lot more viable and a lot stronger of an activation than he does in a lot of other lists. So you can really mitigate that weakness of Pawns just being kind of a nobody type character. We're bringing Mace Windu here because Mace with Rex and 501st, it's bringing us more of that mobility and healing factor with the hunker mechanics with Rex. But when we're not having to move Kit Fisto around with tactics so he can get into range to do what he wants to do, you can focus the tactics with Rex and Pawns on Mace to really keep Mace engaged. So now we're really playing with this steadfast protection list where all sides of our list are going to have like steadfast at a good chunk of the amount of times and be really sticky, really tanky on points. Rex is a workhorse. 501st I find to be very effective at what they're doing. This is going to be a list that I'm going to be trying out, mastering for a bit. There's a lot of moving parts to it, but I feel Kit Fisto has a lot of play right now, and I think it's going to be worth testing them out. This has been Unit 101, and I hope you guys enjoy. I'm going to be trying to get the Lamb Chop on the podcast to talk about Kit. If I can manage to get him in. He's been maining Kit since his release, and I think he has the most to talk about Kit Fisto compared to anyone else out there.
Thank you for watching this episode of The Chosen One, a Star Wars Shatterpoint podcast. If you want to catch the next video, you can watch the one linked above, or you can just go and listen to the podcast on the playlist below. Please like and subscribe. Thank you for your support.